morning, children. Today we are going to study about the living world. We have done taxonomy, the definition of taxonomy. So we are going to study about the various types of taxonomy. Taxonomy, as you know, is the identification, nomenclature or naming and classification of living organisms. So we will study about the various types of taxonomy, that is numerical taxonomy. Numerical taxonomy, as you can see, aims to develop methods that are objective, explicit and repeatable both in evaluation of taxonomic relationship and in erection of taxa. So numerical taxonomy deals with the evaluation of taxonomic relationships and erection of taxa. When we come to chemotaxonomy, this is used in studying plant relationships because group of plants often produce characteristic chemicals. So it is the application of chemistry to systematics. So application of chemistry to systematics is chemotaxonomy. Then we come to cytotaxonomy. Cytotaxonomy, it is the taxonomic contribution of cytogenetics. So these are the three types of taxonomy or three branches of taxonomy. Now after this we will study the next topic, that is tools that are used in taxonomy or the major aids used in taxonomy. So let us move forward to that topic. For naming, classification, for identification of animals, various tools are used. And the tools used in taxonomy include biological museum, herbarium, botanical gardens, zoological parks, taxonomic keys. So first we come to biological museum. Plant and animal species are preserved in glass jars with the help of preservatives. So you must have seen in your laboratory that there are glass jars and they are filled up with a preservative, namely formalin, formaldehyde, and they are preserved there. They may be dried and preserved also. For example, you must have seen in your labs stuffed birds or stuffing of dead birds and animals can also be done for preserving them. So biological museum is one tool that is used for taxonomy. What is the role of this biological museum? These maintain a systematic record of the biological specimens. Specimens on display, they educate and create awareness about the flora and the fauna among them. Now we come to the herbarium. Herbarium houses a collection of preserved plant specimens for study and reference. Now for this herbarium, there is actually a file, and in that file, on the right hand corner, you will find a number of details like the place from where you have collected the plant, the family to which the plant belongs, type of leaves, type of roots, then it will indicate who has collected that particular plant. So all the information regarding that plant is they are usually colored card sheets. So when you prepare a herbarium, what do? Is first you will first of all collect a number of flowers or twigs or stem or leaves, and you will first dry them in newspaper. So what you do is you take a newspaper and in that you put the specimen and you preserve it there, and you put a number of or you can put it inside a book or a number of heavy objects on it. After around 15 days, you take it out and you will find that the specimen has dried up. Now after drying, what you do is you can poison it. Poison it means you spray some pesticide on it so that it is not eaten away by the pests. After that, you take that card sheet and in that card sheet you stitch it. Stitching means either you paste it or with the help of tape you attach it in that particular sheet of paper. And then all the labeling etc. are all the relevant matter related to it. As I told you, the place of collection, the family of that particular plant which you have collected, or the leaf you have collected, or the flower you have collected and preserved is written in that book, so that a herbarium file is maintained. Now, what is the role of this herbarium file? This herbarium helps in correct identification of newly discovered plants. It helps in finding variation in plant species of different areas. And most important, it is ideal for research and training purpose. So, herbarium maintains a record of correct identification of the newly discovered plants. Then another tool is the botanical gardens. Now, these botanical gardens are institutions that maintain the collection of different varieties of living plants. So, huge botanical garden of Calcutta, botanical garden of Pune, they have a variety of plants there. And these important plants, they can be wild plants, ornamental plants, they can be medicinal plants, plants of medicinal value. Such plants are all maintained in botanical gardens. Now, what is the role of these botanical gardens? They are important areas or place of systematic study and research of flora of the region. I repeat, they are important places of systematic study and research of flora of the region. They provide knowledge and expertise in plant taxonomy, horticulture, biodiversity, ethnobotany, conservation biology, and restoration ecology. These botanical gardens grow and maintain rare and endangered plants, and thus they provide necessary germplasm for ecological restoration. And they help to raise awareness among the general public of need and benefits of this ecological restoration. So, you can see the utility of these botanical gardens. Then we come to the zoological parks. Here animals are kept in a protected environment within the enclosures. So an environment is created that is very natural, so that animals can be protected and breeding can be done, their number can be increased. You must have heard about Project Tiger, etc., where these animals have been preserved, and they have they have been bred in natural environments in order because they were becoming endangered. So it is usually these zoological parks are made to preserve those endangered animals, so that their breeding is done so that their number is increased. The most important role of these zoological parks is that these animals are kept under protection. They are repositories of threatened wildlife and a storehouse of knowledge on animal behavior. Their breeding habits are studied, etc. Animals provide better means of recreation to the visitors. So, these zoological parks not only give protection to the animal, but they also are recreation site for the visitors, and most important, the endangered species of animals can be protected here, and breeding methods can be used in order to increase them so that they no more remain endangered. Then the last tool that we are going to study are the taxonomic keys. Now, taxonomic keys are used by biologists for identifying unknown organisms. Now, suppose a new plant has been discovered. Now, with the help of a taxonomic key, where the biologist tries to find out exactly which class or which family this particular plant belongs. So, taxonomic keys are used for the identification of plants and animals. The most important role of this is that each of the statements in the key is called the lead. And when we follow the correct lead at each step of the key, the user is ultimately able to identify the specimen. So I repeat that each statement that is in the key, that is called a lead, and when we follow the correct lead, we will finally arrive to a conclusion, and ultimately we will be able to identify the specimen to which particular category, class, kingdom, phylum it belongs. So these were the major tools that are being utilized for the study of taxonomy. Children, now we come to the last topic of the chapter Living World, and that is the main systems of classification. There are three main systems of classification, namely artificial system of classification, the natural system of classification, and the phylogenetic system of classification. So first is the artificial system of classification. This type of classification was done on the basis of one or few morphologically observable characteristics in the organisms. Only one or few morphologically observable characteristics were taken into account. For example, Theophrastus classified plants on the basis of their habit into four groups. That is, the herbs, the undershrubs, the shrubs, and the trees. So, here you can see that he classified them into four groups based on only one character, that is their habit. Then came Carolus Linnaeus. He classified plants on the basis of the number of stamens and the manner of cohesion of stamens. So again, one of two characteristics were taken into account. Aristotle classified animals on the basis of characteristic, that is presence or absence of red blood. So this was a very rigid system of classification, and it was not accepted, thus rejected, and a new system of classification was followed, that is known as the natural system of classification. This system of classification, unlike the artificial system of classification, utilized a large number of morphologically observable characters of organisms. So, large number of characters like morphology, the anatomy, their embryology, etc. was taken into account. So, it came out to be a very flexible system of classification, and as I told you earlier, followed by Bentham and Hooker. The most recent type of classification is the phylogenetic system of classification. This system of classification takes into account evolutionary relationships represented by a diagram referred to as the phylogenetic tree. So, this was based on the evolutionary relationships among the organisms, and it was represented by a phylogenetic tree, and it was being proposed by Engler and Prantl, Hutchinson, Takhtajan, etc. Now, if we go into the artificial and the natural system of classification, we find two major differences among them. First, that this was very rigid, and the natural system was very flexible. Artificial system took into account only one or few morphologically observable characteristics, whereas the natural system of classification took into account a large number of morphologically observable characteristics into account. So with this, we complete our chapter, The Living World. Now we will start a new chapter on next term, and I would like to tell you that children, you will be given worksheets also, and you have to solve those worksheets. We have done the chapter in detail. You will solve the worksheets, and when the school reopens, these worksheets will be checked. Thank you.